Okay, so this is
But
our
who's
last
on?
call for the Ultimate Portion Fix exclusive test group. This is our very first group that we've done the Ultimate Portion Fix with, so I'm really super excited not excited that it's coming to a close, but just excited that we've had this opportunity to kind of grow together as a group and, share in this experience together, because there's been a lot of things that I know I've personally learned through the program, even though I've been doing the containers for such a long time. And so being able to go through all of those videos and go through the master certification and get some extra insights and then sharing it with all of you has been really kind of fun, especially as we got into the recipes section and everybody's sharing what they are trying for the first time and just like expanding what we have been doing and still fitting it into the meal plan. So I really have enjoyed it. So I just kind of want to go around and see what were some of the biggest takeaways that you got from the program itself, like things that you learned from the videos that maybe struck a different chord maybe this time, or just things you really enjoyed about the program that surprised you. Maybe you didn't expect different things about it, or even the process with grocery shopping and meal planning and stuff like that. So, Laura, do you want to go first?
No, because I'd like to hear some other insights first.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Shannon.
I know one thing that I've really enjoyed learning about is just how she gave the specifics in the videos, how Autumn gave the specifics about like carbs and amounts of like sugar amounts to look for, like in cereal and pasta sauce, like very concrete things so that I know exactly what to look for instead of like, yeah, just kind of look for this. Like, no, like she's like, this is what you need to do. And I like the food lists. I don't know if they're different than the other ones, but I've enjoyed the challenges of like the green container challenge and finding new ones. So Levi and I have really, actually, I came home from church and I had acorn squash for my snack because it's one thing we found, and it's a challenge to try new recipes and just go through it with everybody else. So I've really enjoyed that. And getting to the portion picks, the containers amount for kids. Mm-hmm. That's been very insightful for me with Levi, because now he'll be like,
do you use like the kind of a guideline for Levi? Obviously your son is very active and he's already at like a healthy weight range, but do you use the containers to try to guide his choices, or not quite yet?
I do. I showed him the one for him. I said, okay, so you're 8, so you're 7, so you're in this category, and most of the time you're either moderately active or active. So you need this many carbs. And we were even riding bikes this afternoon, and he was like, Mommy, how many carbs have I had? I know I can have 4.5, so I want to have this. So I have containers for my carbs. So having that, like he keeps himself on track instead of me saying, no, you've had too many carbs or you need another vegetable. And like he asked me to put spinach in his pancakes so he could get an extra veggie in without tasting it. And that way doesn't actually have to eat another veggie. So he's enjoyed those things. We've all enjoyed that. So
yeah,
I was actually trying to find that chicken teriyaki recipe that you were talking about, and the coleslaw. I was going to make that this week, and I couldn't find it.
That was on the Beachbody blog. It was a chipotle, like a pulled chipotle chicken with cilantro slaw, and it's on the Beachbody blog.
Okay.
So I use the container counts from the blog itself. And if you scroll down, and maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but for anybody who doesn't know, if you go on the Beachbody blog and you look up any of the recipes, if you scroll all the way down past the recipe, it will give you different counts. So one is like the older version of how they used to do, like before they had containers, and then they do have like the portion container counts for their recipes. So even if you don't have the Fix8 cookbooks or you don't look at the cooking show recipes, even on the Beachbody blog they have the container counts, which is really nice.
Gotcha. I'll look there.
Yeah. So I actually saw you and Laura were the ones that did the acorn squash, and I was going to get some today, and I was in a hurry, and I didn't get a chance to really look at it. But you guys just like roasted it, right? Was there a specific recipe?
I just Googled it online and
okay.
just Googled how to fix acorn squash, and it gave me some ideas on how to roast it.
Well, I'm gonna have
I
to
just
try that. It just isn't gonna be this week, I don't think.
I just roasted it whole. I just I took a knife and stabbed it 6 times and then put it in the oven at 400 on a sheet pan
Okay.
for about 40 minutes, and voila, it was done.
So
Then
kind of like spaghetti squash then, right?
yes, then let it cool and then cut it. Get the seeds out like you do spaghetti squash.
Cool. So for me, the things that I learned, I did like the fact that she included the kids stuff and the fact that it was like okay for them to have a sandwich, because my kids have sandwiches in their lunches all the time. One of them wants ham and cheese, the other ones want peanut butter and jelly, and then I have one that flip-flops depending on the day. And like those are easy things, and thankfully their school allows peanut butter. So like that, I was like, okay, they're not really having too many carbs because they're kids. They're allowed to have more carbs. And so we've just been practicing making sure you get enough veggies in the day, which they usually, I wouldn't say they get always the right amount of veggies, but when they're with me, they get a veggie. So that's how we do it. But so that was helpful, at least having some kind of guideline for the kids. And we haven't dug into the lunch ideas yet either, but we're gonna look at those too. And just I think with Portion Fix having the extra recipes and pushing me to get out of my comfort zone of always having the same meals and stuff like that, and learning how she meal plans, especially with the recipes. So I did that with what did I make this week? The one dish that I made was like a crock-pot quinoa and chicken and vegetables, and it actually uses like 2 yellow containers because it had peas in it and it had the quinoa. And so how Autumn showed us about meal planning and seeing the container count for that recipe and plugging that into your calculation first and then kind of backtracking the meal, that was really helpful for me. It was something I hadn't really thought of, because normally I would just go through the day as I normally do, and then whatever I have for my dinner, I wouldn't be able to do half of those recipes because I've already eaten some of those containers. So learning how to plug and play the containers into the meal plan so that you can have 2 yellows at dinner if that's the meal that you want. I mean, I wouldn't do it every single day that way, but like every once in a while to have that meal was just fine. And then I just didn't have the carbs earlier in the day. So that was really helpful. And I'm trying to think, just having all the different meal plans. As a coach, that really helps me. I can confidently tell people who are vegetarian or vegan or gluten-free, yes, there's a plan for you. And I don't have to do the calculations to figure it out because Autumn's already done it. So as a coach, it's been really helpful to have those different meal plans available and seeing like, okay, I really do somewhat of the time nutrition, but in actuality, I am doing best with foundational fix. And I'm okay with that. Like, I don't have to go and do like any specific plan. It's whatever's right for me. And for me, I like to mix and match. I like freedom and within like where my containers go in the day. So having that and like just defining what's best for me, I really like thrive in that. That helps me a lot. So those are a couple of things that has helped me and kind of eye-opening, especially the kids with the containers, knowing like it's okay for them to have a few more carbs than it is for me, and always trying new things and having those resources available, like just a broader scale than they had with the original program. So I really like that. And the workouts, I really enjoy the workouts so much better than the original ones. Even though they don't have music yet, I still really like them because she changes it up, and I just think it's really fun. So all right, Laura, it's your turn. What are some things that you took away from the program that maybe you didn't know before?
Okay, well, I think the first thing is I like the idea that Beachbody came out with the insulated lunch tote bag. That helped me out a lot. And the second idea is I liked where we tried new veggies a week or 2 weeks ago, because I never tried acorn squash before. And then just trying new recipes. And I like the videos itself because it went deeper into the ultimate portion fix versus when it first came out. And there were some takeaways from that. I was surprised to find out what really had sugar in it. And we just have to read the labels, and I've been buying some stuff that had sugar in it this whole time. I didn't even know it had sugar in it. And so those were some takeaways, you know, where we went grocery shopping and reading the labels and stuff like that.
I did that today. I was thinking about, I always get my kids the same few cereals that all have like low sugar in them. And I went to go, I was like, man, they haven't had this one in a while. It's probably not that bad. And I read the label and it was like 12 grams of sugar. All right, well, I guess we're not getting that one. And it was like, I wanted to kind of give them something different, but at the same time, like, they're fine. They didn't know that they weren't with me, so they didn't know that I put it right back. But yeah, reading labels is so important because you don't even think about it. They seem healthy, and then you're like, ooh, maybe not. Yeah, so I was actually talking to someone today at church about this program, and she just came up to me and said, I'm a sugar addict. Like that's how she came up to me. And I'm like, apparently I talk about it, right? That's a problem for me. And I was like, yeah, got it. Me too. So how can I help you? And she's like, just telling me kind of how her day goes. And it reminded me so much of how my days were and how I was eating on a regular basis. And I'm like, I've got you, but I need you to get the tools. I need you to get the program so that you understand what I'm trying to teach you. Like I don't have the time to one-on-one sit down, and I'm not a nutritionist certified to actually counsel people and give them all of these materials. That's why Autumn's already done it. So, so I was trying to like explain to her why this program is so important. And I thought it was a really good exercise for all of us who have gone through this. And even if you're watching the recording later, like go back through, maybe even jot down some ideas of why this program has made a difference in your life, because this is a gift that we have to share with others. Even if you don't like want to build a business with it or anything, like you don't have to do the job that I do or do what Shannon does or do what any of the coaches do in this group, but just like doing that exercise of writing down things that have been impactful for you, using the logbook and just going back through and seeing, okay, how did I feel this day? Did I do, what made a difference over the last like 4 weeks that we've really been implementing this? And what are some things that I need to kind of go forward and still tweak a little bit? What are some areas of weakness that I can improve on? And if somebody were to ask me about this program, what would I say? Like, what were the things that really impacted me? And I told her, I was like, it's like having a nutritionist right there, because she's explaining this to you, and you can do it on your own time. You don't have to make an appointment and go talk to somebody about nutrition. You can do this on your own time. And that's what I think is so beneficial, is that you have the program for a life. You guys don't have to renew access to it. You have these videos forever. So make use of that. And like, I'm really excited to go through this with another group so that I can refresh my own memory with it as well. Because we always just take away little pieces at a time and don't ever retain the full picture. So the more we can keep learning and keep watching the videos over, we're going to take more pieces away and kind of solidify that whole idea, instead of, the more you watch it, the more you're going to remember over time, and it's becoming natural and like more of a habit. So that's the whole thing. Speaking of habit, like that's another thing about this program, is the more that you do it and you do your meal plan each week, and it's going to get easier. And it's not like, it's like with the workouts. She says, it doesn't get easier, you get better or you get stronger. It's kind of the same thing. Like the actual thought process of meal planning or picking out recipes or, tracking your nutrition each day, your containers, that is like, it's not necessarily easier over time or harder over time. You just do it. But as you develop that habit, it seems easier because you got a better handle on it. And so it won't take you quite as long maybe to make a meal plan, or to plug and play if you want a recipe for dinner, how you work your containers the rest of the day. All of that stuff is going to become more of a habit and more of a routine, but it doesn't start out that way. Even after 4 weeks, like there may be some things that we can improve upon. So it's about consistency going forward. So in our next, like in all the challenge groups that I'm running, we're going to have little pieces of this. Even if you don't do ultimate portion fix again and you go into the next general group, we're still going to be talking about recipes. We're still going to be talking about containers. We're still going to be talking about the nutrition side of it because it's so important. We're not going to throw it away or throw it on the back burner. This is why we continue to do groups and accountability, so that we can all stay on track and stay accountable for what we're doing. If anybody asks me about coaching, I say the best, like hands down, I am way more accountable for my nutrition because I'm a coach and people know it, and they're going to look at me and be like, what in the world is she doing eating that? You know, and I have to realize that, not that I can't ever like have a donut, or I can't like ever have sugar or have something that's off the plan. But in general, people see me living out what I tell people. So I know that, and it keeps me accountable. And these groups help keep me accountable. So I want to see you guys continue in doing the groups and continue with us. Again, it doesn't have to be an ultimate portion fix specific group, but in any of the accountability groups, so that you know you're not alone, and we can, the more you do it and stay consistent with it, the easier it will become to continue. So any other thoughts that you guys have that maybe would be helpful for the rest of the group as we kind of close this chapter and go on to the next and continue on this lifestyle?
I think it's like you said, Rachel, it's not a diet, it's a lifestyle. So anytime you change any part of your lifestyle, like even think about like when you get married, like your life changes and it takes time to get used to that. And that's the same way it is with this nutrition program. Like it's not going to be, there's going to be a honeymoon period. Like it's going to be easy or fun or new, but then you get down into it and it does become a habit. It becomes the way it is. And so just stick with it. I know some people are like, they're getting frustrated or they've hit some bumps in the road. Well, that's life. That happens, but that doesn't mean you give up. It means you just refocus. Maybe look at the food list again, see what else is on there that you might want to try. And once you make it a lifestyle, it does get so much easier. My husband was commenting on the way to church this morning just how it's a lifestyle for us. It's not a diet. It's just the way things are. And if you eat this way, you do feel better and you have more energy. And he just said, he was commenting on the 5K we did yesterday. And I said, I never dreamed of doing that. And he said, well, it's because you've been eating. I've been following the container since I started Beachbody back in August of 2016. And now it's a habit. Like I can't imagine not eating this way.
Yeah.
So just make it a habit. Stick with it. It'll come.
One thing I did want to point out that kind of stuck out at me at a conversation I had this week with someone who was struggling with sugar. And, you know, she just said, I don't understand. I could be so good for so long and then I just go and binge. And I get it. Like I get that. I've done that. And I said, you know, you have to really look at it in one way. Like sometimes it takes, depending on the person, sometimes it takes being completely strict with yourself for a really long time until you no longer have those like super big craving urges, whatever. If you're drinking your Shakeology, that's going to help with your cravings for sure, but it doesn't mean like that completely eliminates any kind of temptation. But it's like an addict. You're not going to have someone who's an alcoholic become a social drinker overnight. That's not how it works. You can't just socially be a sugar person when you're really, really in the thick of struggling with it. And fill in the blank. It doesn't have to be sugar. Maybe it's like potato chips, or maybe it's something else for you. But if you're really struggling in one area, you're going to have to cut it off. You're going to have to quit buying it. You're going to have to cut it out of your life for a certain period of time. And for some people, it may be forever, that you can't ever handle being a social whatever person. And so for me, I found that I can have balance, and there can be times where I have something sweet and then I can just be done with it. But I also know I cannot keep it in my house. Like that will never go away. If I have something that's sweet or something that's off the plan, I have to go out and get it purposely. Like we don't keep ice cream in my house anymore. If we want to do ice cream, we go to the local shop that has dollar cones and we eat it there and it's done. Like we don't ever bring it back to the house. So if there are people that are struggling with anything like nutritionally like that, consider the fact that you may have to have a hard stop and say, this is not okay for me to occasionally have because I can't handle that right now. Not saying that you can't ever have some of these things, but maybe you're at the place right now where you have to say no, a hard no, every time until that binging desire goes away. And I don't know what that is for each person, and maybe this is not even something you struggle with, but if you do, I think it's really important to say that you can't just expect yourself to be able to socially go back to your old ways if you're not completely out of that lifestyle yet. So be patient with yourself, be patient with this process, and it's okay to have that hard no for a time, you know, to see if this is like, if you could handle that, it may be not right yet, because we don't want to be going, we don't want this to be a yo-yo thing where you're like, oh, I gave into that, so now I'm just going to go off the rails. Well, then you're not ready to have that bite of whatever it is yet. So I don't know if that helps you, but it's something that's been on my mind ever since I had that conversation. Is there was a huge part, there was probably 4 or 5 months where I had to say absolutely no to every bit of sugar because I couldn't handle it. But now it's a lifestyle for me, and I can occasionally say yes within boundaries, not in my house. Does that help at all? I don't know. Maybe somebody watching it later will help. Anything else you want to say, Laura, that will maybe help someone else who watches the video?
No, I can't think of anything. I think you two covered it.
Well, I'm just so happy for this group. Like, I feel like we really bonded and had a really good group for these last 6 weeks. So I'm super proud of everybody, regardless of what the results are from these 6 weeks. Like, take your after photos, you know, you can post them in the group or not, it's up to you, but take your photos as your progress anyway. And then we're, you know, as Autumn says, you could take your measurements and stuff once a month, kind of get in that habit. I know I haven't been weighing myself daily like I used to with 2B Mindset anymore, but just as a checkpoint for me. So maybe once a week or once every, whatever, whenever I just feel like I need kind of a check and see, hey, how am I doing? And so, like, keep that in mind too, that this is just a checkpoint. This is not the end. This is a checkpoint, and then we're going to continue on to the next groups. So thank you guys for being a part of it. I hope that you've had as much fun as I have, and I'm looking forward to the next group. So if you want, let me know if you're interested in redoing the group. It will basically be round 2, same information, but if you feel like you need to revisit the videos, or if you want to help others that are going through the program for the first time, let me know that. We're going to start tomorrow. And then otherwise, our general group is open to everyone. And again, you're still going to get bits and pieces of this, and it will be new material in that group that also starts tomorrow. So thank you guys for being here, and I will see you next time.